Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, where we dive deep into the most chilling and perplexing cases, exploring the facts, the theories, and the enduring questions that leave us all wondering. Today, we take you through the haunting tale of the Rex Heuermann trial, a case that has shocked the nation and left many searching for answers. Known for its eerie details and the shadows that still linger, the Gilgo Beach murders have become one of the most infamous mysteries of our time. Before we begin, keep your ears open for today's hidden clue. It might earn you a shout out in next week's episode. This case is not only a complex story of crime, but it's one that will challenge our assumptions, delve into the minds of those involved, and perhaps bring us closer to understanding the dark motivations behind the Gilgo Beach murders. Stay with us as we uncover the chilling details, piece together the puzzle, and ask the questions that remain unanswered to this day. What do you think happened? Could there be a missing piece we haven't uncovered yet? Let's find out, starting with the key events that led us to the trial of Rex Heuermann. The Gilgo Beach murders case began in 2010 when a search for a missing woman led authorities to a grisly discovery. Police found the remains of several women near Gilgo Beach, Long Island, New York. The bodies, discovered in a secluded area, raised immediate concerns that a serial killer was at large. The victims, believed to be sex workers, were found in various stages of decomposition, and it quickly became clear that the murders were linked, as all the victims shared similar traits. Among the first to be identified was Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old woman who had gone missing in May 2010. Her disappearance led to the search that ultimately uncovered the remains of several other women. At the time of her death, Gilbert was working as an escort and had reportedly been having a troubled encounter with a client, which may have triggered her tragic end. As more bodies were uncovered, a chilling pattern emerged. All the victims had been strangled and left in a similar manner, fueling speculation that the killer was a serial murderer with a particular method of operation. The case captivated the nation, and pressure mounted for law enforcement to solve the mystery. The Gilgo Beach area, located on the southern shore of Long Island, New York, became the focal point of the investigation. Known for its expansive beaches, dunes, and rugged coastline, the area is relatively isolated, making it an unlikely yet effective location for the disposal of the victims. While the beach itself is a popular tourist destination in the warmer months, its secluded nature and proximity to dense marshlands created the perfect environment for a predator to hide their crimes in plain sight. The discovery of the victims' remains occurred near Gilgo Beach, an area known for its rough terrain and sparse activity. However, the isolated terrain was also an ideal place for criminal activity to go unnoticed, allowing the perpetrator to hide the victims' bodies with little fear of discovery. In addition to the physical location of the bodies, the cultural backdrop of Long Island itself played a role in shaping the case. Long Island's vast suburban expanse, coupled with its proximity to New York City, created an environment where both high crime rates and significant secrecy could thrive. This backdrop added complexity to the investigation, which would take years to unravel. The case took a dramatic turn when the body of Shannon Gilbert was found in December 2011, over a year after she went missing. Her remains were discovered in a marshy area, not far from where the other victims had been found. At first, Gilbert's death was considered accidental, as investigators initially thought she may have drowned or died from exposure. However, the discovery of her body near the other victims raised suspicions that her death might have been linked to the same killer who had claimed the lives of the other women. The discovery of additional remains in the weeks that followed, coupled with the similarity in the victims' circumstances, confirmed the authorities' worst fears. There was a serial killer operating in the area. The bodies were discovered in isolated spots, showing signs of strangulation. Police had little forensic evidence to work with. This moment marked the beginning of an investigation that would span years, with countless twists and turns. As investigators began to piece together the evidence in the Gilgo Beach murders, several unsettling anomalies emerged that would complicate the investigation. One of the most significant pieces of evidence was the location and method of the killings. The victims had been discarded in remote areas, often with their remains carefully hidden in dense foliage or beneath the overgrown brush. This suggested that the killer knew the terrain well and had a methodical approach to disposing of the bodies. Forensic evidence from the victims also provided chilling insights. Most of the women had been strangled, and their bodies showed signs of post-mortem handling, such as being wrapped in burlap sacks. In addition, some of the victims had been bound before their deaths. These details suggested that the killer had a distinct modus operandi, one that was both calculated and controlled. However, one of the most perplexing anomalies was the case of Shannon Gilbert. While initially considered part of the same string of murders, her death did not appear to follow the same pattern. Her body was found further from the other victims, and there were signs of her having been in a state of distress prior to her death. Some experts theorized that Gilbert's death might have been accidental, though others still believed she was a victim of the same killer. As the investigation into the Gilgo Beach murders deepened, numerous theories about the identity and motives of the killer began to surface. One prevailing theory suggested that the killer was a local resident familiar with the secluded areas around Gilgo Beach. The methodical nature of the murders, with the careful disposal of the bodies in isolated locations, pointed to someone with intimate knowledge of the landscape. This theory was bolstered by the fact that many of the victims were sex workers, and the killer may have chosen his victims based on their vulnerability and transient lifestyles. Another theory speculated that the killer was motivated by a desire for control and power, particularly over women. Some experts suggested that the way the bodies were staged and the use of burlap sacks indicated a personal and ritualistic element to the crimes. The killer's apparent ability to evade capture, despite the presence of multiple clues and evidence, also suggested a certain level of intelligence and forethought. Public speculation also fueled various theories, with some suggesting that the killer could have been a law enforcement officer or someone with close ties to the police. The fact that the investigation had stalled for so long, despite numerous leads, raised doubts about the competence of law enforcement and added to the atmosphere of suspicion surrounding the case. The investigation faced numerous obstacles from the beginning. Despite media coverage, progress was slow due to a lack of direct evidence linking a suspect to the crimes. Law enforcement initially focused on a range of suspects, including a former police officer and a man with a history of violent behavior. However, it wasn't until 2022 that the case took a significant turn with the arrest of Rex Heuermann. Heuermann, an architect from Long Island, was arrested and charged with the murders of 3 women, although investigators believed he could be linked to even more victims. The arrest was the result of tireless work by law enforcement, including the use of modern forensic techniques and the analysis of DNA evidence. Though the arrest marked a major breakthrough, the investigation continues to unfold, and many questions still remain about Heuermann's role in the deaths of the other women. Modern forensic advancements have played a pivotal role in the ongoing investigation into the Gilgo Beach murders. While the initial years of the investigation were plagued by a lack of concrete leads, the rise of DNA technology allowed law enforcement to make significant strides in solving the case. Forensic evidence that was once overlooked or too degraded to be useful became a cornerstone of the investigation. One of the most significant breakthroughs came from the use of genetic genealogy, a technique that has revolutionized criminal investigations in recent years. By comparing DNA found at the crime scenes with public genealogical databases, investigators were able to build a family tree and identify potential relatives of the killer. This technique was instrumental in narrowing down suspects, leading to the eventual arrest of Rex Heuermann in 2022. Additionally, digital forensics and advancements in cell phone tracking played a role in linking Heuermann to the victims. These modern tools, which weren't available when the murders first occurred, have provided investigators with new avenues to explore and, ultimately, helped lead to one of the most significant breakthroughs in the case. The public's reaction to the Gilgo Beach murders case was one of shock and fascination, with many following the investigation closely as it unfolded. The mystery surrounding the killings captivated people across the nation, especially as the case remained unsolved for years. The discovery of the bodies sparked widespread media coverage, with news outlets frequently reporting on new developments and theories. As more victims were discovered, the public's sense of unease grew, especially given the fear that a serial killer was operating in such proximity to New York City. The case was widely discussed on social media, where armchair detectives and true crime enthusiasts shared their own theories and speculations. When Rex Heuermann was arrested, the public was both relieved and horrified. His arrest brought some closure to the families of the victims, but it also raised new questions about how such a crime could remain undetected for so long, especially in an area so closely watched by law enforcement. The Gilgo Beach murders have left an indelible mark on both the criminal justice system and popular culture. The case has inspired a range of media coverage, documentaries, and books, with many seeking to understand not just the killer's motives, but also the broader implications of the murders. The media's portrayal of the case, particularly the eerie nature of the beach itself and the brutal anonymity of the victims, has turned Gilgo Beach into a symbol of the unknown, a place where shadows and unanswered questions linger. The case has also sparked conversations around the safety of vulnerable individuals, especially sex workers, and the failure of the criminal justice system to protect them. In the wake of the murders, there have been renewed discussions about how law enforcement handles missing persons cases and the importance of advancing forensic technologies to solve cold cases. The cultural fascination with unsolved crimes has been amplified by the mystery of this case, which continues to captivate the public imagination. And that concludes the story of the Rex Heuermann trial and the Gilgo Beach murders, a case as haunting as it is perplexing. From the shocking discovery of the victims to the arrest of Rex Heuermann, this case serves as a chilling reminder of the dark side of human nature and the resilience of those seeking justice. The legacy of the victims continues to resonate with their families and the public, leaving us to ask whether modern forensic science will ever truly uncover all the answers. What do you think happened? Could there be more to this story that we haven't uncovered yet? Share your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to solve today's hidden clue. What is the name of the first victim identified in the Gilgo Beach murders? You might just see your name featured in our next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.